Hey there, and welcome back to the deep dive. Great to have you with us.
Good to be here.
We've got a really interesting topic today. It's all based on sources you sent in covering these big recent shifts in the UK's immigration system.
That's right. Yeah, we've waded through quite a bit. Government white papers, news reports, analysis, trying to piece it all together. The main one is that May 2025 paper, Restoring Control Over the Immigration System.
Exactly. So our mission really is to just cut through the noise a bit. We want to unpack the main reforms, get a sense of the thinking behind them, and, touch on the potential impacts, help you get up to speed quickly.
Sounds good. It's definitely complex stuff.
Okay, let's dive in then. Let's unpack this. That white paper you mentioned, the core changes, they seem to be about making it, tougher and longer to settle here, right?
Absolutely. That's a key takeaway. Probably the most significant change is for indefinite leave to remain, that settlement.
Right.
For most routes, the qualifying time is basically doubled, up from 5 years to 10 years.
Wow, 10 years. That's a major jump.
It is a very substantial increase in the time commitment required.
And it's not just about the time, is it? The sources also talk about stricter English language rules.
Correct. Yeah, that's another big one. Maine applicants now need B2 level English.
B2. That's upper intermediate.
Exactly. It's quite a demanding level, much higher than just basic conversational skills. And what's maybe even more striking is for adult dependents.
Okay.
They used to need just A1, basic on entry. Now they'll need to progress all the way to B2 by the time they apply for settlement themselves. That's a huge ramp up.
And there was also a lot of talk, wasn't there, about closing a specific visa route, something affecting a key sector.
Yes, the health and care worker visa, specifically for new recruits in adult social care roles from overseas, that route's being closed off.
So care homes can't recruit directly from abroad for those rules anymore.
Not new recruits, no. The idea, according to the government sources, is to push the sector towards hiring domestically, less reliance on foreign labor there.
Okay. And what about students, international students? Are they affected?
They are, yeah. The graduate route visa, that's the one letting them stay and work for a bit after studying.
Right. I remember that.
It's been shortened, down from 2 years to just 18 months.
Ooh, okay. Less time to find work and get experience then.
Precisely. Reduces that post-study work window.
So the big question, why? Why all these changes and why now? What's the main reason the government gives in these sources?
Well, it really boils down to the net migration figures.
Yeah.
The numbers.
Ah, okay.
The sources consistently point to the jump. It was, 224,000 back in 2019? But by 2023, it had risen significantly, hitting 906,000.
That is a huge increase.
It is. So these reforms are framed as a way to bring that number down, control the levels.
And they've actually put a number on it, a target.
They have, yes. The stated goal is a reduction of about 100,000 per year, aiming to get net migration down to around 240,000 by 2028. Although it's worth noting, some of the analysis we looked at does question whether these specific changes alone will actually achieve that exact figure in that time frame. There's some debate about the calculation and other potential factors.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So this is where it gets really interesting. How are these changes actually landing, with the sectors most affected? What's the reaction been like?
Well, it's definitely mixed, judging by the reports. You've got healthcare providers, especially, SHU, social care.
Yeah.
They're voicing pretty serious worries, concerns about staffing shortages, even potential crises, because that visa route is closing.
You can see why. And universities, with the shorter graduate route.
They're worried, too. The concern is it might make the UK less attractive,
Yeah.
Potentially fewer international students choosing to come here if post-study work options are reduced and there's more red tape.
So what's the government's counter-argument, according to the sources? Is it about training people here?
Exactly that. The emphasis is heavily on developing the domestic workforce, investing in training UK residents to fill these roles in the long run.
But that takes time, surely.
That's the criticism highlighted in the sources, yes. Critics argue it doesn't solve the immediate shortages, particularly in sectors like care that need staff right now. Birding up a domestic workforce isn't an overnight fix.
Okay. Now let's switch gears slightly. There was another thing mentioned, this Brit card. What exactly is that meant to be?
Right, the Brit card. It's proposed as a digital identity, something secure held on your smartphone, probably within a revamped gov.uk wallet app.
A digital ID. For what purpose?
Primarily to make it easier and more reliable for employers, landlords, banks, public services, anyone who needs to check to verify someone's legal right to be, live, and work in the UK. standardizing that process.
Okay, so streamlining checks. And is part of the aim also about tackling illegal immigration?
That's definitely stated as a key goal, yes,
Mhm.
reducing illegal working and exploitation. But interestingly, the sources also stress another angle, preventing mistakes,
Mistakes.
like the Windrush scandal issues, where people who were legally resident struggled terribly to prove it. The idea is this digital system would make status checks clearer, more accurate, less prone to error for everyone involved.
But I imagine there are questions about how practical it is.
Oh, absolutely. Experts flagged potential hurdles, the tech rollout itself, ensuring it works reliably, and crucially, how effective it would actually be at reaching people who are already undocumented or outside the formal system. How do you get them onto the digital system in the first place?
Good point. So, stepping back, what does all this mean longer term? What sort of implications are flagged in the sources we looked at?
Well, the potential is quite significant. These changes could really start to reshape the UK's demographics, its economy.
How so?
You could see shifts in where people come from, the skills they bring, and definite impacts on sectors that have historically relied quite heavily on foreign workers, both high-skilled and lower-skilled. Some sources mention potential effects on diversity, others focus more on, economic productivity.
It really raises a fundamental question then, doesn't it? What's the core challenge that emerges from all this?
I think the central tension highlighted across the sources is achieving that balance. How does the UK manage its borders, control immigration flows, but also make sure the economy gets the skills and the labor it needs? And how do you do that while maintaining social cohesion? It's a tough balancing act.
Yeah, clearly not simple. Lots of trade-offs involved. Well, thanks for digging into all that with us. Really helps clarify things.
My pleasure. It's important to see all the different angles presented in the material, isn't it?
Absolutely. And maybe just one final thought for you, our listener, to chew on today. In this interconnected world we live in, how can any country best navigate that tension? The desire to control borders versus the need for the talent and workforce essential for thriving. Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive. Goodbye for now.